your first point about bringing the war to Russia is certainly something that a lot of Ukrainians that I've spoken to over the last few days have said themselves. There's been a lot of videos circulating on Ukrainian social media, shot by Russians in the Kursk borderlands, um, who are filming the devastation wrought on their towns. And I think for a lot of Ukrainians, this feels to be satisfying because it's something that's been going on within their country for the last 10 years.
Let's speak to the Times' Tom Ball about Ukraine's offensive across Russia's border in the Kursk region, which is now into its fifth day. Russia yesterday declared a federal state of emergency there. The UN nuclear agency has urged the two sides to exercise maximum restraint, with fighting edging closer towards a nuclear power plant. Well, you can read Tom Ball's latest report in the paper today or online with a digital subscription at thetimes.com. And Tom Ball is on the programme now. Good afternoon, Tom. Just bring us up to speed with the latest situation. How far have Ukrainian forces advanced into Russia?
Well, it's all a little bit vague at the moment, and a lot of the information that we are relying on comes from Russian military bloggers and the Russian Ministry of Defense itself. Ukraine has yet to comment on the situation in any detail, but from what we know, we believe that Ukrainian forces are as far as about 10 miles into Russian territory. They're believed to have seized a town called Sucha, and last night, a Ukrainian brigade posted a video of themselves outside the gas distribution hub in that town. So it appears that they are not only advancing, but they're also holding territory.
I mean, that's really interesting, particularly if they've got near a gas distribution plant. What kind of numbers are we talking about here? How many Ukrainian troops have crossed the border?
Again, all somewhat shrouded in a lack of clarity, but initially the Russians said that they thought about 1,000. It appears that there are probably more than that, given that we believe that there are about 4 brigades that have entered Russia, and we were up on the border earlier this week, and there was a large military presence there. We saw several convoys of tanks and armored vehicles heading towards the border. So I think probably that figure of 1,000 is a low estimate.
It does raise the question what Ukraine is hoping to achieve here. I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but two things spring to mind. First of all, by invading Russia, as it were, it brings the war to Vladimir Putin and maybe puts pressure on him because, at the moment, if you're living in Moscow, St. Petersburg, the war in Ukraine feels very far away, doesn't feel like it's on your doorstep. The moment you've got Ukrainian troops in your country, that changes. And does that change opinion inside Russia? But then also, presumably, it means the Russians are going to have to divert resources away from Ukraine to defend their own territory.
Yeah, that's entirely right. I think your first point about bringing the war to Russia is certainly something that a lot of Ukrainians that I've spoken to over the last few days have said themselves. There's been a lot of videos circulating on Ukrainian social media, shot by Russians in the Kursk borderlands, who are filming the devastation wrought on their towns. And I think for a lot of Ukrainians, this feels to be satisfying because it's something that's been going on within their country for the last 10 years. And I think there's a sense of, giving them a little bit of their own medicine. Strategically also, as you say, there's the idea that this is a tactic designed in order to divert Russian troops away from the front lines. So there's already some evidence that that they are moving their brigades from the front line in order to send them to Kursk. And today, even the Ukrainian army said that there was less reported fighting on the front lines, which is perhaps a suggestion that that tactic is working.
I want to ask you, Tom, about Russia's response in a moment, but can Ukraine realistically hold on to the territory it's captured inside Russia?
I don't know if that's what they want to do. I mean, there's been some suggestions that they may try and strike towards the Kursk nuclear power plant. I think that's probably seems a bit fanciful, given that it's about 80 kilometers inside Russian territory. But they have been holding territory, some several miles inside the border. I suspect that they probably won't view it as useful to maintain those positions. I think, as we've spoken about before, their aim is to get Russian troops away from other areas of the front line where Ukraine is currently under pressure. And I think once they've achieved that, then the use of maintaining those positions under heavy fire and faced up to Russian soldiers who are, who've come from the front line, are better trained than those reservists and conscripts who are defending the borderlands, will probably be less useful than I think it currently is at the moment.
Very briefly, Tom, what response are we likely to see from Russia, or indeed what have we seen so far?
Well, it's clear that Moscow was completely wrong-footed by this. They didn't. I don't think they had much of an inkling of it. There have been some reports that the Ministry of Defence and the army had been given intelligence of a build-up on the border, and they've had a bit of a kicking for that from military commentators inside Russia. But it's clear that they are seeking to show that they are doing everything to rectify the situation, and they've called for, as you mentioned, a state of emergency in the region, and also they've convened their anti-terrorism committee as well. So they are responding hard, and certainly in the Sumy region where we were the other day, they're also blasting the area with glide bombs. So they are retaliating and retaliating hard.
Tom, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. That's the Times' Tom Ball there. And you can read Tom's reporting on Ukraine's attacks in Russia in The Times or online with a digital subscription at thetimes.com.